Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. My name is Jason, and today is February the 8th, 2023. We are into the new year, a full whole month. And looking at what's going on first, today let's look at the sun. The sun has no corona holes that are facing the Earth currently, but one just has gone away, and we're still in that coronal hole stream or the residual of that being pushed to the Earth, and that's that compression, but it's gone away, right? And so we're at the edge of that. So you should start to feel lighter over the next couple of days. That departing coronal hole is responsible for the earthquake activity in Turkey, in the Middle East. So that's the kind of things that happen when the coronal hole is why you want to pay attention when the coronal hole stream is pointed at the Earth and the locations that you might happen to be going or thinking about traveling to, fault lines and whatnot, because the coronal hole could actually make volcanic activity pick up. It doesn't always have to be a large one. It could be small ones, depending on the fault, of course. That being said, there are plenty of solar flares to be had on the sun today and this week and heading into for a while. The solar flares have been flaring, and so when they're just a flare, they don't necessarily have to leave the sun. And so the flares have been in the M class size. You can look up what that means. Basically, that's a medium-sized sort of solar flare that if it were to escape, probably wouldn't do anything harmful to the Earth unless several of them happened at once, and then that would be satellite grid stuff. Internet would slow down. But there hasn't been any CMEs. There was one large CME, but it wasn't directed at Earth over the past couple of days. And solar flares, the reason those are important, why I always bring them up, is those cause brain fog, right? I work here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki here in downtown Brenham, Texas, and people come in like, what's going on? I'm so out of it. And so solar flaring is going to cause a intensity, right? And sometimes it causes an anxiety attack, right? It starts with the heart palpitations. It's basically sending extra energy into the body because we are electromagnetically grounded to the Earth, and the Earth is electromagnetically connected to the sun. And so when the sun sends surges of energy, power surges through that electrical current, then that affects us. And so the solar flares affect you just as much as some of the things that people worry about. It affects you just as much or more as power lines, cell towers, Wi-Fi, likely more, except that the sun is usually not about confusing and isn't a natural frequency, right? The natural frequency of the sun creates our food, our atmosphere, and everything else, right? So its solar flaring is usually to send a current through the body to trigger an upgrade or an awakening or a clearing. And so a lot of times when we become new, that heart palpitation will start to be in the chest. And then the brain fog is really the brain reorganizing itself to that higher, would it be electrical energy? That higher sun energy being received into the brain, right? Because you're receiving everything here in your pineal gland, and then you're rendering through your head, what are you receiving? And so your mind filters necessarily what you're seeing in the world. And when your mind upgrades or when your receiver gets an upgrade or an overload, then that starts to be a little foggy and becomes new. And so while you're upgrading, it's kind of like your phone doesn't work while you're upgrading iOSs or you're downloading an app as well as it does when that's done, right? So you're just getting extra current and upgrades. So it's not necessarily anything to be afraid of until it gets, really large, and those are on the horizon, but not around the corner, if that makes any sense. They're nowhere close. So it's just things to sort of pay attention to. So let's go right back into astrology. Today is Wednesday, and we should still be feeling the effects of the full moon today, because that was full moon Sunday, Monday. Tuesday might have felt a little wonky still. And so today, that full moon really packed a wallop. There were people who were very disoriented with that full moon energy. And Saturn today is going to help you really sort of integrate that energy, right? So Saturn is influential in the stars, and so Saturn is really going to help you with those changes that the moon brought in upgrade your moral authority? Do you have the authority to change your life? Who are you to decide what it is like to live in your reality, right? And so a lot of us question that because, our parents taught us something, our religious organizations taught us something, our schooling taught us another thing, right? And so who are we to have a moral authority to speak against volumes of information that we've been given, to claim that we can live a life that is maybe not necessarily exactly in line with that template we've been giving? And so Saturn is really going to help you today make those choices and sort of feel sovereign, right? So the Lord of all things can fall into place today, right? So what do you want to do, right? You're the Lord of all your things. You are the commander of your realm. And so that's the energy of today. Thursday, you're going to have to spend a little time letting that sovereignty sink in. Now that the full moon has sort of caused you to decide what that is, Saturn's going to help you have the moral authority to choose. And Thursday, just chill. And while you're chilling, what you should think about, what the energy would help you with, is what do people in control of their lives act like, right? So if you have authority over your life, how would you act, right? A lot of times we've been acting out of, we don't want to get fired, we don't want to get out of a relationship, we choose things that aren't in our highest good, we choose things to make other people happy, right? So people that tend to have larger than life personalities and get things done tend to be sovereign over their own lives, and people want to be a part of that. There'll be some complaints along the way, right? So who are you when you act in the accordance of your life? What is a person that is sovereign over all their choices act like? That leads us into Friday, and Friday is same stuff. Saturday is an 11/11 day. So Saturday is February the 11th, which gives it an 11 day on the calendar, but it is also, when you do the numerology of the entire date, February 11th, 2023 is also an 11. And so that energy of that, you're deciding what does a person act like as a sovereign over their own life, as a person in control of their own choices. What does a person like that act like? Then Saturday gives us the energy to do that, because 11 is usually associated with a master number, usually 11 or 22 in mystical understanding is about that mastery that you've accomplished and you've moved on to the next thing, right? So usually we're a 0 through 9 or a 1 through 10, right? And then 11 is mastery. So you get to choose another thing you have control, right? So it's also about sovereignty. And that leads us Sunday, Monday, being calm cosmically overall, but the sun's going to still be active, right? So you should pay attention through all of these changes that even if you're taking a calm day, the sun is still going to be active. So you might still be feeling like you're on edge or something like that. No problem. It is normal. And the sun is here to help. So Tuesday then is February the 14th, Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day, and right, so a lot of this energy is, I don't say conflictual, right? But if Valentine's Day to you is seen about relationship kind of love, right? Can I be in one? What is going on in the one I'm in? How do I increase romance in the one that I'm in, right? Tuesday, Valentine's Day, it is all this energy that's here is about what do you want, right? Not what does the other want, right? And so when you decide what's going to make you happy, then relationships can be happier because you know what makes you happy, and then you can sort of ask for that out loud, right? And what does a person who's sovereign over their own life do? They ask out loud what they want, and then people that love each other talk about that and how to accomplish that. And there's a conversation about give and take, about how do we stay in a relationship where we're both sovereign and we get the majority of the things we want in our life and in our love. So Tuesday, Valentine's Day, also Jupiter is going to be dominant in the energy field, right? And so Jupiter is they call him the great benefactor, but the benefactor, the beneficent, the giver of good things, right? And so the day is going to have a lot of good things about it, right? So all this energy of choosing what you want, there is this generous energy that you might get that, and that things, if they are difficult, or things, if they are mundane, can get better. And it could be great, right? And be granted by this energy of Valentine's Day, St. Valentine's, and then also Jupiter. Jupiter is also about luck, good fortune. And so even if part of your struggle is loving your life or finding one, Jupiter is like if you're alone, like if you're not in a relationship, Valentine's Day is sometimes triggering like that. Jupiter is going to be one that soothes and grants good feelings to all on a Tuesday, right? So you'll feel this sense of self-love and accomplishment, even if you're not in a relationship. Just a little cool what's what about St. Valentine's. He's also the patron saint of epilepsy and beekeepers. So, yeah, if you're into beekeepers or the sweet nectar of honey, St. Valentine's is also your day, right? So maybe think about honey treats instead of chocolate treats for Valentine's Day. And that should be everything. Today is the 8th here in Brenham, Texas. We have just a little bit of time to sign up. We have till Saturday at 5 p.m. to sign up for Elemental Rhythm Breakthrough Breathwork sessions. And that is a class. It is still $22. I haven't raised the price yet because I want more people to experience this. We had a great class on Sunday where we did a little bit of hybrid. Usually it's a breakthrough, right? So we're breathing intently with a purpose of release, of breaking through, of hitting higher consciousness, right? Of one would expect or suggest that that breakthrough is sort of breaking through our limits and having an expanded view of what's going on. But we did a little hybrid. So we started with a breakthrough and then ended with a flow, right? And so flow is really a deepening into self, right? Almost like a quiet, contemplative, what's going on in the deep inner dark corners of my world on the inside, and what are those things going on. So like I said, only $22. You get to do all this cool stuff. It only takes an hour and a half. There is a little introductory video about some sort of things that happen. Maybe need to update that about more detail about what actually happens in our sessions. But yeah, there's usually room for 10 to 12 people that can fit in our space. So sign up online at newdimensionscrystals.com and just click on the Sunday breathwork class. Pay your $22. So that way I can sort of limit, right? We don't want to have too many people that we can't fit in the room. So that way I can limit who gets in there. And that'll send me a notification. You'll get a confirmation. It's going to say something about shipping, but that ship confirmation is just, hey, I've put you on the list. You're here for Sunday. Get here a little bit before 10. And if you got a mat, if you got a pillow, if you got a cushion that you want to use of your own, we have some here that we can for laying on the floor and doing the breath work. It is transformational. It is mind expanding. It is heart expanding. And I haven't had anybody come to a class that hasn't had some kind of breakthrough or euphoric experience that they were grateful for. So until next time, many blessings.